announce our first speaker of the day, Channing Muller. Channing Muller is an award-winning marketing consultant, professional speaker, marathoner, and heart attack survivor, bringing more than 2 decades of communication expertise to the stage, alongside a deeply personal story of resilience and reinvention. As founder of DCM Communications, Channing helps event organizations aligning their marketing and PR strategies with broader business goals. Her insights have appeared in outlets including Forbes, Business Insider, BizBash, Success, and Women's Health. Her keynote will challenge us to think differently about communication, leadership, endurance, and what it means to lead with purpose in both business and life. Please join me in welcoming Channing Muller to BCMA Southeast.
Thank you all for having me. There we go, that's my stuff. Okay, fantastic. Yes, my name is Channing Muller, and welcome to From Heart Attacks to High Mileage. It all starts on December 9th of 2011. I am going out with friends. There's what's called a wig walk in Washington, D.C. Wear a wig, show up to a bar, you get fun drink specials, right? Amazing. One person in their 20s wouldn't love doing this. So, have a great time. Next morning I wake up and like, all right, feeling all right. I should probably go to the gym and, reverse a little bit of the damage I did to my body the night before. One step out of my bed, my heart starts racing uncontrollably. I can't full breath. I think I'm gonna be sick. Rush to the bathroom. I think I'm gonna be nauseous. Nothing happens. I look in the mirror. I have lost all color in my face. I'm white as a sheet. I feel tingly all on my upper body. My heart rate just keeps going faster and faster. I then start to feel this tightness in my chest. I'm like, what is happening? Weirdest hangover ever. So I crawl back to my bed when I realize I'm not gonna get sick. I'm like, okay, we just gotta wait this out. It doesn't get better. So I reach over the nightstand, pick up my phone, and I call my roommate who's in the second floor of our house. Like, something's wrong. By the time she finds me, I am on the floor, trying to just get control of my heart rate, because it is just all over the place. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, something's wrong. I don't know what is, something's wrong, we have to go to the hospital. She goes upstairs to get our car, while I crawl up the stairs, get into her car, and we drive 5 blocks to the emergency room of Georgetown Hospital. She rushes in as I crawl through the emergency room door, because the idea of being as small as possible is the only way that I think I'm maybe alleviating what's happening inside of my body right now. I hear her saying, it's her heart, it's her heart. They put me on a gurney, we go back to triage, connect me to the EKG. They're like, focus on a spot on the wall and try to calm your breathing. I'm thinking, if I could do that, I would not be here. But they do the test, and then they're like, okay, we gotta do some blood work. Now you're gonna wait for 6 hours. And during this time, you're gonna hang out, we're gonna connect you to a heart monitor, and then we're gonna do the blood work again, because we gotta see what the differences are over time. So we're hanging out, I get connected to the heart monitor, and I'm like, okay, probably a good time to call my brother. He lived in the same city with me, so I was like, now, this seems a little more serious than like potentially weird hangover, panic attack, like, he needs to be here. But I am still planning to go to a cocktail party that night. We're talking about the dress, I'm asking the doctors, like, can I still go to this event? They're like, yeah, maybe. I'm like, but what if I don't drink when I go to the event? They're like, yeah, definitely no drinking, that's not happening. I'm like, okay, I was like, well, what if I just, they're like, you can sit there. No dancing, but you can put on a dress and sit there. I'm like, okay. But this was in the morning, and we're getting towards noon, talking about the event. I'm like, okay. And then we pass noon, and I can't stay awake to finish the sentence. And that blood work comes back again. And then everything in my world changed, because the only thing I hear is the words, you had a heart attack. I was 26 years old. Everything around me becomes a blur, with the exception of feeling tears running down my face, my arms being strapped down to a gurney, and I'm wheeled backwards into a helicopter where they medevac me to a different hospital in DC that they say is more prepared to handle my case. 26 years old, vegetarian, runner, no family history, and I just had a heart attack. What is happening? So I get a one-way ticket to the CCU, otherwise known as the cardiac care unit. It's essentially the ICU for people with cardiac arrest, right? Any type of cardiac issues. This is not a place you ever want to be, because if you're in the CCU, I guarantee you one of the things you're going to come, unfortunately, very familiar with is this. You want to talk about a humbling experience? Not having the energy to get out of the bed, to walk, to right here, to use the facilities is a humbling experience. This also happens to be where our first lesson comes in. And that is, when someone offers you help, take it. Because I'm laying there and I'm telling the nurse, I'm like, no, I can do this. I can totally do this. And then I realize, I'm like, I can't. I can barely roll over to my side enough for her to put the bedpan underneath me, right? And I'm laying there saying, I'm so sorry. I need help. I'm so sorry. And she's like, this is what I'm here for. And as someone who grew up with a parent that always told them, don't let anyone tell you you can't do something that your brother can do. If he can do it, you can do it. Don't let someone tell you that because you're a girl, you can't do anything. You can do this. So that led to someone who was very fiercely independent. Well, if he can do it, I'm absolutely gonna do it. And then all of a sudden they couldn't do it. And that changes everything. And you realize, and the rest of y'all were in the Southeast, right? So Southern ladies, we tend to wanna do all these things. Now, if someone offers, I'm physically capable of carrying my own suitcase. But if someone says, oh, do you need help with that? Why, yes, that would be delightful, thank you, right? We need help. You are all at events, you tend to be very type A. Who identifies as a type A personality? Yeah, That also is the most amazing thing in this industry in particular. That can work against you. We need teams. We need help. You're physically and mentally and emotionally not actually able to do all of the things. We have vendors, you have venues, you have marketers on your team, you have people that are there to help you. If someone says, can I do this, or what do I need, give them a task. Pause for a minute, give them a task. We need teams to make all of this happen. So I go through a lot of tests while I'm in the CCU. And then I finally get out of there and I go to a regular hospital room. My favorite thing about a regular hospital room is that it came with a shower. And if anyone has been following Anna's journey online, she has shared yesterday, she finally got to take a proper shower and wash her hair. When I say you feel like a brand new human, when after days of people poking at you, prodding at you, telling you when you can eat, if you can eat, to then, especially after I had been in a wig walk. That meant my hair had been under a wig 4 hours. Then I woke up and for 4 days, did not get a chance to wash my hair. Shower was like the most coveted thing ever. Those little wins really do make a big difference, right? So I'm there, the one photo I allowed people to take of me when I was in the hospital, which is something I now regret. I wish I had photos of when my roommate looked at me with the heart monitor and said, you look like RoboCop, because you got wires coming out every direction. But I was so traumatized by what was happening in that moment, I let none of that happen. Eventually, I let my heart monitor and my remote control became my best friends, right? So it was really nice. I started getting flowers from everywhere, right? I have friends, my brother's friends reaching out. I'm like, oh, people care. Like, we're not talking about this on social media, right? I was very particular about we don't share this information publicly because what happens when you say something on an online platform? People have questions where they want to know what happened, what's going on here, and we had this many answers. What we knew is that I had a blockage in my heart. Where it came from, why I had one, what we were doing about it, unsure. So to have a community reach out and support you it was just the best feeling at that time. So finally they decide, they're like, yes, you have a blockage, but we're not gonna place a stent because you're only 26. And we have research that shows about 10 to 15 years, because most people getting a stent are a lot further along in life, right? So they're like, here's 6 medications, and you got a prescription for cardiac rehab. Basically just exercise, wearing a heart monitor, supervised by doctors. So I take a few weeks at home, start working back to half days, and I'm like checking the inbox. And the whole time at work, people thankfully had been really nice. And I worked in one of those environments where there were cubicles or tables, so your best friend sitting next to you knew a lot of details about your job. And thankfully, I had friends that were willing to step in and help make sure that the advertising at this media publication did not fall apart in my absence. But that still meant my inbox was overflowing. And I'm like, okay, we gotta get a handle on this, we gotta keep going. And then I'm like, there are so many emails. Oh my God. There are some emails and I start getting overwhelmed. And I'm not quite crying, but I am really losing it. And my heart rate starts increasing while I am sitting still. I'm like, okay, that's not good. So it's like, no, you can do this, you can do this. Pull out nitroglycerin tablets, help dilate your blood vessels. I was allowed to take 3, 5 minutes apart if needed to help alleviate angina, is what it's called, your blood vessels get tight. So I took one. 5 minutes go by, it's not getting better. My heart rate is only increasing and my body has not moved. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I knew the feeling. It was like, this is not normal. We need to go to the hospital. So my sweet mate at the time goes and gets her card. She's like, all right, we're going to the hospital. I take another nitroglycerin tablet. We call my cardiologist. I'm like, we're on our way. By the time we get there though, I can't even get out of the car this time because my heart rate has continued to climb. They go to get the gurney, they bring me in, another EKG, another round of blood work. Heart attack number 2. It had only been a month. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. What is happening? I need answers. I need answers, why did this happen? So we go back to the cath lab, where they go in through your femoral artery in your groin and they go poke around in your heart. And we gotta figure out, like, why am I back here? That tiny little line right there was a 95% blockage in the lateral anterior descending artery, which I did not learn until a year later is commonly called the widowmaker. Things you don't wanna know about in the hospital. So I looked at that and I'm awake for this procedure and they're like, you see that tiny space? It's supposed to be the same width as everything else. So I'm like, we're placing a stent, right? They're like 100% yes. So they place the stent. Oh my God, I can finally breathe. I had no idea I was holding a breath until that moment, and then everything changed. So once again, they're like, okay, you're still on your 6 medications. Let's try one more time to get you to cardiac rehab, right? You've got to get past this. At this point, I feel like I had been sucker punched twice, really close together. Before any of this started, I had done a 60-mile walk in 3 days. Now I couldn't walk a block without, you would have thought I had sprinted a marathon, and I was just trying to go to the bathroom. So, this is where I had to realize I had this monstrous setback again. I had just spent 6 weeks moving forwards, getting some endurance to be able to go to work, and now I was back at square one. All the time in business, in life, in events, we get thrown curveballs, right? You're like, I am planning for all this, and then someone doesn't show up. The loading doesn't go as smoothly as you want. They actually don't have the chairs. I go to dinner last night, they won't give me the food I already had ordered. We have to change the plan, right? It means it's a setback. It doesn't mean that you're never gonna be able to make this event happen, or to have that particular speaker, or to get to that specific promotion. It just means it's not happening right now. So once again, we try, and I'm like, okay, cardiac rehab, here we go. Very first thing they ask you, what's your goal, right? If you're planning an event, what's the first thing you ask someone who says, we gotta do this? We need a goal. We need to have something that we're working towards. And I only had one. I wanted to run again. Because I had just gotten in my head that I was going to train for a half marathon when all of this happened. So I'm like, okay, goal, we want to run again. What comes after you have a goal when you're planning an event? Kind of just said the word. Need a plan, right? That was the next thing. After we have a plan, after we have that goal, we're going to figure out what is our plan to get there. The plan for me in cardiac rehab was real simple and very easy. You're going to walk on a treadmill for 1 minute. You're going to jog at what could ever be described as the slowest jog known to man for 1 minute. You're going to walk again, and when you hit 6 minutes, you're done. That was your exercise for the day. And then eventually it was, well, let's get up to 12 minutes. Then 12 minutes became, well, let's increase the run portion and let's decrease the walk portion. And then I had it in my mind that I wanted to do a 10K race that the American Heart Association was putting on that summer. I was like, this seems like a good goal. It's about 5 months away at this point. Let's get up to a 10K. I started working through the 1 and 1. And then we applied that same philosophy to the actual races. This was a 5K. Then after the 5K, I did a 5-mile race. Then eventually the day comes around, and I recruited my brother, as well as all of the people at my office at the time who could run, and I was like, let's just all go out and do something good for our hearts today. And within 6 months, with that 1-to-1, 2-to-1, I had worked up that I ran the entire 10K, which is 6.2 miles, without stopping. That was a massive achievement. After everything that I felt my body had let me down, I was like 1 foot forward, 1 mile race, 1 step at a time, and we got there. And then I was like, okay, well, what are we gonna do next? Because that's not enough. Like, what's the next thing? So fast forward, a knee surgery, don't recommend, and a bunch of years later, one of my best friends, I'm living in Chattanooga now, and one of my friends asked me to go watch her. She was like, I'm running a half marathon. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. So we're at the finish line. I'm like, yes, let me cheer you on, Jody. This is amazing. And I look at her and I'm like, we're kind of built the same. Like, I've been, I'm working out this summer in the Tennessee summer in the middle of the day. She can do this. Maybe I could do this. So I tell you that if you can run 10 miles, you can run a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles, right? Which seems really weird. I'm like, but that's not the full distance. It's amazing what your adrenaline will do when you were like in the moment. You physically are capable of doing this. So I look for a race. I'm like, is there a race that's coming up soon? Sure enough, there was one that was gonna be in another month. I went out and ran 10 miles, and then I'm like, okay, let's go run a half marathon. And I made every mistake that new runners do. Number one, I overslept. I show up, everyone is gone. I'm like, you've got to be, I have to do this. I committed, I said I'm doing this, we are here, I'm doing this. The guy manually starts the clock. He's like, okay, go run. And that's literally all I did, was I ran. No aid stations, no water, no food, just 2 hours and 7 minutes of just running. Incredibly ignorant, incredibly stupid for your body. Fun fact, don't do that. Always stop for an aid station, bring water, eat food along the way. But I did it. I ran a half marathon, and at the conclusion of your first one, the finish line, they give you a framed bib, which is really cool, kind of adds to it, okay? So from that, here's the thing to take away from it. The reason I was able to do that half marathon is because I saw someone who was built similarly to me who had done it. This is what people want when it comes time to decide, are they gonna come to your event? They want to see themselves reflected back in your marketing. That could be a physical representation of what they look like. It could also be the, oh, these event planners are gonna be there, maybe I should be there. Oh, this is targeting venue operators? Okay, well if they're there, maybe I should also go to this. And that is true from the social media pictures that you put up. That's true of speaking directly to someone in your email campaigns. Right? So just say, hey, everyone should attend this. No, this is not for everyone. If you fit these 3 things, you're gonna want this. The landing pages on your event website, right, will say, this is for Give the trait so that someone looks at it and says, oh my God, that's me. Yes, I have to be there. That is the way that you can utilize your marketing to attract more people to your events, as well as get new employees for your company. If you're looking to recruit people, show them what it is that it's gonna be like working with you, right? We wanna see ourselves reflected back. So I ran 1.5 marathon at the end of 2019. 2020's rolling around, I'm like, we need a goal. Let's do one every other month. We'll do 6 in 2020. Well, I got a couple of those done with everybody else, shared experience. And then, you know, as you can see that last medal, it says combat coronavirus. I was like, okay, everything became virtual again. These were virtual half marathons because I was like, I have to finish this. I did 3 in person and then the world blew. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Well, when everything is out of your control, the one thing that is in your control is what you do with your body. So I was like, I can't control the weather, but I can, A, go outside and run because I get to control my pace, what I eat beforehand, what I'm wearing, and it gave me a chance to be social with other people because I lived alone from a distance. Because I can run with someone who's over there. We weren't breathing on each other, but we were doing the same thing. It added that element of being able to still connect with another human being without a screen being involved. Which is where all of the reasons we are here. Shared in-person experiences are the lifeblood of the human experience in general. Now, I run a digital business. 9 times out of 10, I don't ever see my clients in person or actually to stand in the same room with them. I've worked with some people for 6 years before we ever shared a space. There are wonderful, amazing things that can be done through virtual connections. But in person changes everything. There's an energy in a room. There's something about being able to hug and touch another person, right? These are the things that I know we're sitting here planning events, right? You are like, well, of course, we plan events, we absolutely love this. But when you can be in the trenches trying to make this argument to superiors who are like, well, we gotta cut budgets, but we still want the same level of experience. That doesn't work, right? We need to remember that like there is the purpose behind this and it's the human connection, right? Above everything else. And that should be when it's the argument you're making as to why you need the budget for it, you need to have all of this in your back pocket. It's not just, oh, we want to do this thing. It's people need to connect with each other because of these reasons. The more we factor AI into the world, the more we need human interaction. We need to know. How many times have you called a doctor's office? Called the vet's office the other day. It was an AI operator that answered, like the thing that answered the phone. I kept saying operator over and over because it didn't know the prompts. And I was like, I want a human. I just need 4 minutes, but I need 4 minutes with an actual human being, not with a bot. I will absolutely use the bots for making work more efficient, for doing data analysis. It is so much better. It is so much faster than we can do as humans, but I want actual human experiences. And that's what we all still need now. So a few years after my heart attacks, the American Heart Association came out with the Is Why campaign. And you'll see at every event they had these banners and they were like, fill in your reason. Why are you here? Why are you supporting the American Heart Association? What is your connection, right? For me, it started with, I want to share my story as much as possible because I just went through the worst human experience ever. I don't want anyone else to go through this if my sharing my story can make you think twice about what heart attack symptoms are like in a woman, what your family history might be. I had none. What your lifestyle risk factors might be. I had none. And yet still, I had this really unlucky spin in the genetic wheel that I got a humongous blockage despite all of my tests looking normal. So that was my why for a long time. This would soon become even more important when we get to longer distance running. But 2020 goes by and I rack up all 6 of the half marathons that I wanted to do. Once again, I asked the same question, right? Super exciting. It was a very big deal. I'm like, okay, but now what? So 2021 is rolling around. It's gonna be the 10-year heart anniversary. So we call it, you've had a heart event of some kind. Every anniversary after that becomes your heart anniversary. And I'm like talking to my brother, I'm like, it's been 10 years. I gotta do something big. He said, well, you could run a race. I'm like, but I've already done a bunch of half marathons. Like, this has to be bigger than that. I'm like, okay. What if I ran a full marathon? That's big. That's also incredibly intimidating because that is 26.2 miles and I only done 13.1. So like, I'm gonna double this? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I decided I was gonna double it. I'm like, that seems big, it seems a good thing to show, a testament to how far I have come on this journey. So I had the date set, November 13th of 2021, I was gonna run my first marathon. Now I needed a different why, because when you go to run a marathon or run a distance of anything that seems scary to you, people will ask you, what's your why? I just wanna run. No. That's not gonna get you out of bed when it's freezing cold and you need to go run 15 miles. Or when it is 1,000 degrees outside and it feels like you're on the surface of the sun and you have a speed workout ahead of you. You need something deep in your gut as to why the heck am I putting myself through this? And so I came up with 2 whys. I was gonna run 26.2 miles in honor of my 26-year-old self, and I was gonna raise $10,000 for the American Heart Association in honor of my 10 years of heart health. And I put a deadline on it. You need to find your why. And I think this is true whether you are looking for, why am I in this job? Why am I planning this event? Why am I putting out this email campaign? Why should anyone else care? Because if it's we're doing this because we need to make money. Why? Why is that going to be appealing to somebody else? What's the true core? We want to connect people. We want them to learn something. We want them to get hands-on experience with our product, or we want them to experience what our venue is like. What are these things? You have to have a why right after that goal, or along the way, that scope creep happens and everybody gets lost. And the more people you add into the equation, the more it disappears. So after you have the why, signed up for the marathon, like, okay, I need a plan. And yet again, I made the mistake that lots of new marathoners do, is they look at the details of all of the full plan. Don't do that, don't jump ahead, because then you're gonna see something that says in one day you have to run 20 miles, and it's gonna be the equivalent of 36 miles that you will have completed for the week. That is very, very far. That is very scary. That's also not until like week 15. But I jumped ahead, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so intimidated by all of this. And that's when I got the very first mantra that I needed to have for the rest of everything going forward, which is, you gotta run the mile you're in. I can't worry about what's happening in week 13 because I'm not there yet. I can't worry about what's gonna happen next week with the thing. I can't figure out what's going on next week. I can only deal with what's right here. And I believed in this so strongly, and also needed the reminder in my face all day long every day that I had word bracelets that I wore, and I intentionally wore them with the words on the inside. Because this was not, I need everybody else to know, it was, I needed to remember whether I was running or I was in work, run the mile you're in. I can't control what's happening in an hour or that meeting that's later. I can control everything about what I do right now. So then I'm like, all right, well, I got the part figured out for the actual running, but I gotta raise $10,000. That's a lot of money. So I was like, how am I gonna do this? I did what any good elder millennial did, and I decided to take to social media. And I was like, we're gonna share this. Because if I want someone who has no connection to heart health or no connection to me, yes, strangers, wonderful humans, stranger danger is ridiculous. I needed to get them to buy into why I was doing it. If I wanted them to give me money, I needed them emotionally invested in my experience and to see that I'm doing the work, right? And that's the key aspect. They have to be emotionally invested. Oh yeah, that's good for you, you're doing the thing. No. We're showing all the things. I'm sharing all the feelings of the reality of what this is like. Because if you want strangers, and unless you know every single event attendee you're ever gonna have, to invest financially from a ticket price, from a sponsor's perspective, you need them to be emotionally invested in your event. Right? They have to understand that like, this is about something bigger than this person asking me for money. This is also why you talk to them outside of the, hey, don't you want to sponsor my event? Or, oh, hey, I want money from you for this. It's also when once someone buys the ticket, you have an email sequence of nurturing them along the way. Because once they buy the ticket, get excited. here's what's coming next. You get first access to find out about the speakers before everybody else does, right? You get first access to this information about the new activation that we're gonna have before the general public does. Because you need them to continue to be excited. That's also how you create brand ambassadors and referral opportunities. Because once you've got one person to buy in, if they stay excited about your event, not only are they gonna show up, they're gonna tell other people, oh, you should probably come to this thing too. And it becomes a marketing flywheel that helps put even more return on the investment you've already spent in creating content and creating a program to get them there. So I shared everything. The really fun runs, the I want to die, that was the worst experience of my life, the I can't believe I'm so hot, I've never been this wet out in public in my life outside of a pool. I shared all of it, right? And I'm not saying share without a filter, right? But I am sharing like the good and the bad. You've got to show the behind the scenes. Because what we tend to see, especially in events, you see the beautiful, in running we see the finish line. In events, you see the most beautiful ballroom, everything is set, we're ready, it's gonna be amazing. But people who are gonna hire you or wanna work with you or wanna give you a promotion, they have no idea the 15 million steps it took to get to that beautiful ballroom. You know, because you've got the spreadsheets and the checklists and the, oh my gosh, I woke up at 2 a.m. and wrote down this note on my phone because I didn't wanna forget, but they don't know. So you need to show, here's what it actually looks like. So my sweaty, gross, this was the most miserable run of this training cycle, is the equivalent to zip tying porta potties so that at the overnight event, nothing goes wrong and people can't get in there after they've already been cleaned. This is one of my wonderful clients, Patrick, in Chicago. I had no idea, and I worked with this person, that you had to zip tie porta potties. That is an incredible level of detail that someone that is an expert in events knows you have to do, but those of us who don't do it all day wouldn't have seen. It's being in a full suit and shoving a bar to a different direction because it didn't turn out to be where you wanted it. It's putting together the mannequin because someone had to go deal with a trash can fire happening on this side of the room, so you needed to take over somebody else's job. You have to show the behind the scenes, because showing them is so much easier than saying, well, we gotta do this thing, then we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this. If you're not in the trenches and your clients are not in the trenches with you, your boss is not always in the trenches with you, they don't get it. But if you show them this, a picture really is worth 1,000 words. They see that and they're like, oh my God, okay, I get it. I get it just a little bit more than I did, right? So finally into that 20-mile run. And it's on a battlefield. This happened to be the same race that I did the half marathon for. And I'm thinking, it's 20 miles. I've done a lot of training, but I call my mom and I'm like, I have 20 miles to run in the morning. 20 miles, that is so far. And I am freaking out about this. I'm like, how am I gonna do it? What's gonna happen? So worried, my heart gonna be able to handle this. She's like, Channing, you can cover the distance. It's just a matter of how long it takes. And I felt like, well, shit, of course. Yes! Like, you can do it. So this is where I started to become a real big yes person. So you have no doubt had clients that you're working through the event and they're like, okay, I would really like to have unicorns be the ones that pull the carriage in where our main speaker is riding behind with fire. Sure. So you want that. Question one, is it possible? Like, is it actually possible to do this? Okay, if you can, unicorns may not exist, but white horses exist, and you can then put a unicorn horn hat on them. Yeah, you can do that. Now the fire part depends on the venue. Everybody's got their own rules, but I've seen it happen inside. So first question to ask is this actually possible? If this is possible, okay, then lay out for them, we can do this, but it's gonna cost XYZ amount, and it's gonna take this much longer, and it's gonna shift these other things out of the way, right? We can do these things. If it is physically possible to do it, just explain the ramifications on the other side of it. Because that's what they don't know. You've thought 20 steps ahead, they don't. But it's like, can we do it? Okay, don't get overwhelmed with 15 tasks, just keep going. Sure enough, I ran 20 miles that day. I have absolutely no idea how long it took because it didn't matter. I just need to cover the distance. That was it. Race day finally arrives. I got my bib, I got all of the most disgusting gels, which I didn't know at the time, laid out. Race day is here, and I'm like, okay, I'm about to run my first marathon. This is considered the victory lap, right? If you really want to frame a marathon in the best way, it's not, oh my God, I'm gonna go run 26 miles and I've never done this. It's, you've done all of the training. This is just the celebration of that. And so I start out having so much fun. I'm like, we're just gonna do it. It's gonna be so great. I've done the hardest work. We're just rolling with it at this point. And then I hit mile 15 and my whole backside starts to hurt. And I'm like, okay, we gotta walk. I'm like, okay, I can walk. I still got 11 more miles to go. And that's when run the migraine came in my head. I'm like, no, just get to 16. However you move forward, just get to 16, nothing matters after that. I can't worry about 26, can't worry about 24 because I'm not there yet. And freaking out, anytime you get stressed, you freak out, your cortisol levels go up. Your heart rate goes up, your breathing gets harder, and guess what? None of that helps your brain actually process what has to be done next to get rid of those things. Eventually, I reached mile 25, and this could not be more accurate as to how I felt at mile 25. I was like, we gotta be done. So I'm running, I'm like, okay. I make a right turn, and then I make a left turn, and I finally see my family because the finish line is right there. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I was like, we're almost there, we're almost there. And there's pacers right behind me. I'm like, we just gotta keep going. And here's what happens. Everything from the waist down hurts, right? So what people tend to say is that we're like, marathon, one and done, right? Like, I just want to do it and get it over with. But no, one and done is not a way that you get successful at something. It's the way that you get experience with something, right? That first event, that first format, it's never going to be perfect. It's going to be done. Because as soon as I crossed that finish line, we took all the pictures, I get to the car, and my friend Rebecca's like, you're quiet, are you okay? And I'm like, I know everything I did wrong getting ready for this. So what you gotta do is don't take one and done. This email campaign wasn't successful. Well, that was one campaign, or it was one email. It was one social post that didn't perform. That doesn't mean all of them are crap. It means that you did it, look back and learn from it, and then do it again, right? With everything, we have to create a strategy, we're gonna test it, then we're gonna see what went wrong, and then we're gonna do it again. And we're gonna make those small tweaks, right? And this is one of the things that frustrates me the most when it comes to people's marketing. It's like, oh, that didn't work. I can't do social media anymore. It doesn't work for me. No, friend, social media definitely works. You just have to do it based on the right approach for what your goal is and manage your own expectations accordingly. The same thing with what's considered a successful event. You could be like, that was the best event ever. And your boss is like, no, well, were you on the same page about what you were working towards here, right? So let's get back to that last one for just a second, because I want you to hear this. 3/100ths of a second. A win is a win. Right? I mean, especially women, we tend to be like, oh, like I did it, but like it wasn't as fast as I wanted, or I just barely made it. Who cares? You made it. You made it happen. You took something from nothing and you made it happen, right? Take the win. It's really that simple. So I took the win, I knew all the things I did wrong, and I was like, all right, I want to do some fixes, we're gonna do it again. And that led to marathon number 2. And then at mile 21, marathon number 2, I cried on the hills because again, my whole backside hurt. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, what do I keep doing wrong here? So my friends are like, go to Chicago. Chicago is flat. I was like, and you can run there. I'm like, flat I like, this is amazing. I also completely fell in love with Chicago. It is because of this race right here that I live there now. But during Chicago, I'm like, okay, this is cool. I had a weekend away. I got to run a race. I got to see a city in a completely different way, because when you're in a car, you can take a tour everywhere. Sensory overload, like there's things everywhere, it's going by fast. But when you're on foot, you're seeing one or two things. All the things around you, or 4 feet in front of you on the pavement, depending on your approach, right? I got to see so much of the city. I was like, this is really fun. what other races could I travel for and see different cities? So I was like, okay, Miami's real hot. Let's go run a marathon in heat and see what that's like. It's hard. Let's go run another one on hills. Let's take a race with a friend. I'm 5'3", she is 5'11". That meant we had a whole lot of training to try to get us both on the same page to do this race together. And everyone, I was like, let's just go see what that's like. I ran Rocket City in Huntsville, Alabama. Why? Because they're like, oh, you get to run under rockets. And I want to see a rocket. You can talk about feeling small. I'm like, oh my God, I'm running under a space shuttle right now. Fun fact, that was only for 1 mile, so other than that, you're really just doing a group run through Huntsville, Alabama. But nonetheless, I wanted to see rockets, so I saw them. And this is where I got to the mantra that I use for every single race now, which is like, let's just see. This is all the things, let's just see what happens, right? You gotta put yourself outside of your comfort zone. I remember the first time I heard this is nuts. I was training for my first marathon, and I'm with a running group, and all of these people in the group are all Ironmans, which is swim, bike, run for 140 miles total between all three. It's so long. And I'm like, y'all, I'm working on just a marathon. And I talked to one of the women who's in her early 60s, she was an Ironman, and I was like, oh, you're doing a marathon, like, what's your goal? And she goes, oh, look at that morning, let's just see. I was like, I'm sorry, what? You don't have a goal? You don't have a plan? Like, what are you talking about? And then I started to realize that you can train to just show up and be as strong as you are. Let's just see how it goes. Because you can't control the weather. If the weather's not on your side, okay, so we don't race as hard. Let's just see what happens. I'm terrified of bikes. You know, and I was like, we're gonna get over that. Let's go get on a bike. Let's just go see what that's like. It's also how I moved to a new city where I knew absolutely no one. Let's just see, we know how to talk to strangers, we're gonna go talk to strangers. So I started applying this across the board. Because in every race, you can prepare as best you can, but then you get to that race, you get to that event, the hay is in the barn, as we like to say. You can only control what happens next, right? People show up late, can't fix that. Adjusting your program timing, that you can fix. Adjusting the number of chairs that are needed because more people show up, amazing, you can fix that. Focus on the things that you can control versus the ones that are completely away from you, because there will always be things away from you. So now we're going to walk through a practical framework as to how it is to apply this whole like, let's just see, but being strategic about it. And the first step is always having a plan. So there are, has anyone heard of the world major marathons? Okay, so there's now 8 of them, I keep growing, but it's Tokyo, Chicago, New York, Boston, Sydney, and Berlin, yes, which I should know because we're going to talk about this. And they just added Cape Town to this also, right? But all these, you have to qualify at a certain time in another marathon based on your age group to get in. You either raise money or you raise money for a charity, or you get a wonderful, I hope to be lucky lottery. Well, Berlin is real nice because in their lottery, they let you enter as a team. So 3 people can enter, and any one of your names are pulled out of that lottery, you can all run the marathon. My body is not built to run the speed that is needed for my age group until I'm about 65. So I'm just gonna stay consistent, and until then, we rely on charity and lotteries. So we put in for the lottery, name got called for Berlin. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go run another country. This is gonna be amazing. We gotta have a plan. So by this point, I decided to get my coaching certification in running because I had done enough, right? And by enough, I mean, I had run 12 marathons. And I was like, I want to not be able to give people advice based on, well, this worked for my body, but here's what you'll have to figure out. No, I wanted the exercise physiology. I want to understand the math. I'm gonna be like, based on your goals and where you're getting, here's what will get you there. It also meant I could build my plans more specifically and more strategically. And after the let's just see mantra, I finally decided, well, maybe I want to chase a time goal after all. Let's see what that might look like. So I built a plan to try to get there. Then the next step after this, you gotta follow the plan, right? So we start 1 mile, 1 workout at a time. And we start rocking through. And every Saturday, I was sharing the long run and the countdown. Because I wanted people to stay emotionally invested. If I wanted them to engage with any of the rest of the content I was sharing on my social media, or to even care that like, Jenny, you've done this 12 times. Why do I care about another race? Because this one's different, right? It's different. It's side of Chase Timeable. I'm like, we're gonna share all the things. The next thing you can do is tap into resources around you. Because even though I'm the only one that's running the race at that time, we need support. And that started with friends that were willing to train with me for whatever distance they wanted to join. Soon I started showing up to meet strangers and was like, hey, let's run in a group. And you're doing the shared experience together, you get to talk to people, you meet new people. And then I moved to Chicago and I was like, I know no one here, I gotta meet new people. So I showed up to ILEA events, and I showed up to running groups, and I showed up to MPI events, because that was immediate. We have something in common. We all work in events, or y'all also like to run, let's talk. Funny enough, a lot of people in the event world in Chicago also run marathons. Patrick, Mr. Zip Tie and Porta Potties, one of my best friends, we run marathons. It becomes an extra thing that you get to bond over. It's that, oh, you're like me, let's talk about more stuff. And soon, I started to pace those marathon training groups. Because I was like, I've done this, I want to help the next group. I want other people to realize that, yeah, it's real far, but A, you can do this. It's just a matter of how long it takes. And it doesn't have to be a slog. It can be fun. Yeah, it's work, but like, it can still be fun. Just do it with people that are around you. Have a sense of community. Then the next thing is you gotta think through, right? That's where your plans B, C, etc. come into play. All things that go wrong. How are you gonna handle it? Okay, how are you gonna handle anything that's there? I know with the running, I'm like, I can only control what I eat, how I show up. I can't control the weather. If it's downpour, my time goal is probably gonna go out the window, because I'm not real interested in slipping and falling just for some arbitrary time that shows up on my watch. That's stupid, right? We don't like any more injuries, no need for hospital visits. And then this is my absolute favorite top recommendation, is always set yourself up for success, right? So with me going to Berlin, fun fact, it's a different country. That means we have different requirements around food. That means we have different requirements around the ingredients that are considered okay with food. So I travel with my own carbohydrates, because I'm a big believer, we do carb loading for 3 days before a marathon, which is not nearly as fun as you think it is when I show you the food that I eat. But it is so much. In addition to your normal diet, I need an extra 550 grams of carbs every day for 3 days. That's the equivalent of 12 bagels every day. It's a lot. And that's in addition to like, let's make sure we're eating the fiber and the protein and we're not like clogging up our digestive systems. But I don't know what the ingredients are, so I brought food with me. Yes, candy is a wonderful thing for this because there's no saturated fat, which is what you gotta pay attention to for your heart. So I'm always heart healthy carb load. Still lots of greens, lots of vegetables. Pizza is the absolute most amazing for race dinner. And of course, I had to get my German pretzel, right? Set yourself up for success. I brought all of the food with me. Then I had more than one goal. My A goal was to get 4 hours and 30 minutes. B goal was like, let's just beat my Garmin, right, to my running watch. Based on your workouts, it gives you a prediction. It's like, we think you could run these different race distances in this specific time. And I was like, let's just see if we can beat that. Then it was, let's just have 4, 3, something. Anything that's got the 3 is there. And then the worst case scenario, let's just have fun, right? We gotta see this. So I'm ready. This flat chanting night before is like, we are chasing it. The weather's gonna be good. I'm going for the 4:30. We're doing it. It's gonna be so great. And I always wear a different race tattoo that reminds me what it is that I need to have here, right? Because let's be real, it does not matter how many times you have done a marathon, it hurts. It is not painful, it is a severe amount of discomfort, and you gotta figure out how you're gonna get through it. And as we learned earlier with my bracelets, I need these things written on my body in front of my face to remind me. I also do this in my office when I forget something with work. I'm like, you need to always stick to, this is the contract, this is the contract. This is your specific price on that. This is what the quote is, don't back down. I type these things out and I put them on the wall directly across from me. So when I'm on a call, I see it staring me in the face. Don't forget about this. Stick to your guns, you know what you're talking about here. So it starts off, I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be a great day. That's one of the last things I share. Then, here we go, it's our next video. This is me walking to the start line. All right, pre-race feelings. I am still kind of in disbelief that I'm actually here. It's crazy. I'm insanely intimidated by the goal that I've set for myself. But I gotta trust my training, right? And either way, I think the most important thing is like, I'm about to go toe the start line on my 13th marathon. And there was a time where I leave the hospital bed, not even able to go to the bathroom myself. I couldn't walk down the walk. Like, my heart is healthy enough to come and run another marathon, and the significance of that is not lost on me. So no matter how it goes, whatever the pace is, I'm healthy enough to be here, and my heart is gonna be good, and it's just gonna be so much fun. And I am so incredibly grateful for that ability. I still want to get that goal, so let's stay here. Okay, so you wear your name on your shirt so that strangers can cheer for you versus, hey, bib 4, 7, 15, 20. Like, it's just more fun. A lot of people get in your feels at the end of the race. Because of my experience, it is still, like, again, 13 marathons, it still gets me choked up to get there, right? And the key aspect of this, it doesn't matter how it goes, I'm healthy enough to have gotten here. I've done all of the work I can possibly do to get here. You have done all of the planning you could possibly do to get there. But don't forget that, like, yeah, I've planned events for 20 years. The fact that you are about to host something that other people want to come and be a part of, big deal. It's a big deal because you are doing something that a lot of other people don't want to do because they don't think that they can. Or they're like, that is outside of my capability. It's not, if we decide to break it down, the one step at a time and show all of this, right? But the fact that you're doing it, and you're doing it for the 4th time in the year, the 5th time in the year, the 20th year, the 40th year of your career, big deal. And then the next step of that is when that day arrives, as I said, like, the hard work is done, you just gotta take what's there and you roll with it. One step after another, you just have to roll with it. That's the start line of the Berlin Marathon. You wanna talk about energy in a space? They actually do a collective cheer before every corral starts. And you see thousands of people going like this, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so ready, it's gonna be amazing. So we start running. All right, 10K down. I put in my pace targets. But here's the kicker. I don't know if I'm having fun. I am sticking to plan, and I'm focused on staying where my goal is. But I don't know. I am someone who would prefer training for the hard piece because that's the challenge. And maybe just running this by effort. So I don't know, but until I can decide, I'm just gonna keep going within the target pace range. So I started doing these little 5K updates after my first marathon when I realized I blacked out so many things because also dehydrated brains don't function. You can have an idea of the word, but it's escaping somewhere else. I'm like, get back to you in like 3 minutes with that thought. So I started documenting to remind myself, what is it like when you're in the trenches? What is it actually like here? And then people don't always want to download a race app to actually track and see where you're at. So I'm like, okay, again, social media, give me something every 5K, right? And then it's 42 kilometers that I'll be going through in this race. You're not gonna see all of them, don't worry. But like 42 kilometers, every 5K gives me a benchmark. Okay, let's do a check-in, let's see how we're going. So like 10K, I'm like, we're rocking along. I don't know if I'm having fun with this, but like, until we figure it out, we're just going. We're gonna keep going, right? I don't know if I'm having fun, because here's the thing, sometimes it's just flat out work. You can love what you're doing. Obviously, I would not continue signing up for these if I didn't think they were fun, but it doesn't mean every aspect of that is gonna be fun. People like to think like, oh my God, you plan events, that must be so amazing, or set parties all the time. We all know, right? Like, it's work. Yes, I can enjoy it, but like, it's still work. That also comes a time when it's time to sign a contract, when it's time to get a paycheck, when it's time to get a raise. Yeah, you can like what you're doing, but you should still get paid for the work that you're doing because it is work, right? So let's do another check-in here. All right, just past 15K. Just remember what I said before. Apparently, I forgot that as a marathoner, it takes like 7 miles to hit a stride. But put some music in, and we are cooking with gas, just cruising right through. Yeah. Okay, so then in, that's 15K, it's about 9 miles. And I get to the half marathon point and do another check-in. I'm like, all right, y'all, we're not checking in anymore. Gotta take my phone out, gotta do all the things, gotta post while I'm running. I was like, I'll see you at the finish line. And then it starts getting real hot in Berlin in September. And I'm looking down at my watch and I'm watching my heart rate because I always pay attention to it. And it's been in the orange zone for a while. Orange is zone 3. It's not alarming, but it's like we're above aerobic work. We are cooking with gas, right? But I'm doing an estimate and I'm like, I still have like another hour to hit my goal time. Do we really want to keep this? So I had a decision to make. I could either keep going at my current pace and I get my A goal, right? Because I was rocking with it, and just hope, because I felt good, but I was paying attention to my heart, and just hope that like my heart was ready to be in that zone for 4.5 hours. Or I could start taking some walk breaks, bring my heart rate down, realize A goal is out the window, and focus on B goal. You want to take guesses what I did? Ha! No, I did the B goal. Yes, thank you. You all, I love this, but I am not willing to risk another heart attack for this. Give me a break. No, I realized it is time to reprioritize. And that had to happen at like mile 18. And I did a check-in and I let people know that like, y'all, okay, I said you'll see me at the finish line. Well, don't worry, if you're tracking me, I have slowed down. I'm okay. But we've had to readjust the plan. And I started just walking through every aid station, which is about every mile to 1.5 miles. I'm like, let's get my heart rate down to green, then we can start running again. And I also started just doing math. If you ever feel like I'm so stuck on this, I'm in a car, I am bored about what's happening here, you just try to do math. It will keep your head so completely occupied because it will take you so much longer to figure everything out. Because the real truth is that it's just one day. I really wanted to get that goal time. I had worked so hard for 20 weeks to get there, but I was not going to have one race then put me in a hospital, because it's just one race. It's just one day. I wanted to live to run another day. Same thing with anything you do with your work. I want this to be perfect. I want the most spectacular event ever. Yeah, but like, it's just one day in the grand scheme of us on a spinning rock that's floating in the middle of nothing. It's one day. So I'm focused on B goal, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna get there. That meant setting myself up for success. That A goal was like gone, okay? It was out the window. I'm like, let's just see, can we try to do it? So that is me on day 1, but that is the Brandenburg Gate. This is a really deal in Berlin, because once you see that, the finish line is near. You are gonna run through the gate, and then the finish line is gonna be about 1/4 mile on the other side. At that point, 1/4 mile is like you book it with whatever you got left, because your head, my head is always like, oh, I'm over this, we gotta get this done. So I see this, and just to show you how happy I was to see it, and how much better I felt, this was the photographer at the front of the Brandenburg Gate, and I was like, oh, I'm doing this. I was like, I took the breaks, I was like, we're gonna get there though. I'm getting that B goal, I'm going after it, right? So finally you hit the blue carpet, and that means that finish line is truly there. It's the finisher chute. You can see it. You just got to push with whatever you've got to get there. 4:35:29. My Garmin prediction was higher than that. Wow. So I managed to not only beat it, I got the 4:30 something. And as for whether or not I had fun, I think this is it. It was amazing. Document the experience. Everything that you are doing, you do not have to post in the moment. I didn't post Berlin every single second of the moment. I had to focus, right? But document it. I also don't share every single thing that I capture. But capture it in that moment, because it's your lived experience. You're at the event, you can be running every different direction. You're like, oh, I don't have time to capture content, I'm doing the work. No, 30 seconds. Let's be real, we're also making videos for social media, 30-second clips, 10-second clips. We all have the collective attention span of a gnat, that long when we're staring at our phone. You don't need everything. You just need to be able to have something in the moment that you can share later. People don't need to see every second. I filled everyone in later. We do race recaps afterwards where they got the true details. The point is, if you don't have the documentation, I wouldn't have remembered, what does it actually feel like at mile 20? Where is my head really at mile 24? I take these videos, I take the documentation, I do with work all the time too. Every event, take the extra 2 minutes, go through a video. I want the short, push in and pull out on every decor. Pan the whole room for this. Because your marketing team is also gonna need that to showcase your event. You need that to promote your business. You need that for your personal brand. If you're gonna show those behind the scenes 2 days later, 3 days later, you need to have it to document everything. You need to have it there. And remember how we talked about if we want people to like invest financially, they gotta invest emotionally? Yeah, kept that emotional train rolling because then I got to my 14th marathon. I was like, oh my God, mile 14. Strangers, wonderful people. I stopped, someone's not running with anybody else. I'm like, hey, can you take a picture of me doing this? And then I decided, okay, this is really cool. Let's add another one. Let's try hills again. I went out to LA in March. Another day where I'm being cooked like an egg on the asphalt. Oh my God, 95 degrees, LA. Y'all, it's super hilly too, by the way. And I mean like a mile plus you're climbing hills. Life experience. I was like, let's just see what this is like. Answer, it was really hard. I did cry. I called my mom. I was like, I want to sit down. She's like, you got the medal, go sit. And I'm like, oh wait, yeah, we can do that. I forgot this. But now, that also led to, I decided my next challenge, I'm gonna do my first triathlon. And I'm sharing everything. And that has brought on all of this. This is why I keep sharing it, because I'm also got another marathon coming up at the end of the year, number 16. People go, oh my God, I'm so over this. No, it's different. I'm sharing all of it. I'm sharing it from me. I was scared of a bike. So I'm like, girl, go get your butt on a bike. Get over this. I crashed on my second ride. Very first one I did by myself. Into the grass. And I took a video of me, chain popped off, looking up at the sky, and I'm like, well, my biggest fear just came to life. But I didn't die. I didn't hurt other people. Okay, so now we just know we gotta get back on here, we gotta do it better. I also learned how you put a chain on a bike. YouTube is a wonderful place for learning things you don't know. I also had to swim. Anyone here a swimmer? Okay. Do you swim freestyle? Yeah. Yeah.
All styles.
All styles, yeah. Because guess what? Freestyle, you think like, okay, we're going like this. Y'all, there are 10,000 little things about how to do this appropriately, because let's not forget, your face is in water. You can't breathe. So then details. But I share all that with people, and I tell them, oh yeah, I've swallowed a lot of pool water. I was a drowning duck for like the first month and a half that I learned how to do this. Right? This is someone I met on a race, but we started talking. Start talking to strangers, you never know what's gonna happen. And the most important thing of why I keep sharing all of this is the very last line of this DM. You make me want to do hard things. And that was like, yes. I want to show someone who is not an athlete. She works out, but she has never done any of the races that I have talked about today. But she wants to try. She's like, you make me feel like I can do it. You can. If I can go from a heart attack to be able to cross these finish lines and still show up for new things, you can do it. You just have to take it one step at a time. Which leads to the final lesson that I've taken away from this, which is you don't have to be the absolute best to have success. You just have to keep going. I am not the fastest marathoner you will ever meet. I'm not even the fastest in my age group. Like, there are people who can do all these things so much better than me. They can do it faster. They can do it with less tears. But I'm still out there doing it. You're still in the room. There might be people who raise more money for their fundraisers or who bring in more sales that quarter. But you're still there bringing in sales. You're still there getting people to show up in a room for the shared experience that you decided to create. So it doesn't matter if you're always the best at this. You just have to not give up on it if you care about it. If that why is strong enough, you don't give up and you keep showing up. You keep showing up on social media, you keep showing up to work, you keep showing up to the event, you keep walking into the room where you don't know anybody's face and you walk in and say, hi, my name is, or, oh, you look familiar, really? Even if they don't, it doesn't matter. Just say you look so familiar. It was probably social media. Because someone will be like, oh my God, I wonder why that is. I am. And you naturally, they're going to introduce themselves to you. So as long as you keep showing up, you will get to whatever you determine as success. And then when you hit that peak, you can be like, okay, well, what's the next notch we're going to go to? So if you take away nothing else from today, I hope it is that you just keep showing up and document that whole process. Thank you.